how am I, in the confines of my home, without hurting a third person or influencing a third person, how am I causing disruption to public order?
Well, you might get corrupted and then become a, become a sex maniac.
A sex maniac? That's weirdly prudish, because India is not famously repressed about sex. Remember, this is the nation that brought us the Kama Sutra.
Well, you know, we've discussed before how other countries there are groups that are attacking the porn industry, anime, manga, that just looking for control. And there are those continuing this fight and doing everything they can to try to use the courts and the laws to try to shut down the entire porn industry. And we got this out of India from XBiz. And this was back a couple of weeks ago. India's Supreme Court rebukes attempt to codify link between porn and sex crimes. Now, if you're not understanding what's going on here, it's basically there are those out there that are trying to say that the reason why there's sex crimes is because of porn. And we've seen study after study after study which debunks this completely. We'll read a little bit into this. New Delhi. Supreme Court of India has rejected a petition seeking to codify an alleged link between viewing internet pornography and committing crimes such as rape and child sex abuse. Seeking a judicial declaration from the Supreme Court that porn on the internet has led to children's sex crimes would equally be giving the go-ahead to online surveillance, cautioned the justices in their opinion after reviewing the petition, Indian newspaper The Hindu reported. The top Indian tribunal stated that child sex abuse is a crime by itself, correct, and noted that although police can investigate specific cases to determine whether or not viewing of pornography has triggered the crime, such findings would apply only to each individual case. So your final goal is that such material should not be uploaded. What are you advocating? Maybe surveillance and collection of data. The court told Nalin Kolan, the petitioner in person, a prominent figure in the BJP, India's right-wing ruling party. The court expressed concern about where the type of internet surveillance is being proposed might lead. This is a tiger. If it gets loose, the problem is at what point we control it. The issue of the link between viewing pornography and a crime is individually case specific. Chief Justice Lada opted. Justice I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, Ravindran Bah, cited in the 1990 U.S. Supreme Court dealing with questionable of banning the internet to a certain class in order not to give them access to porn, the Hindu reported. Bat quoted the former U.S. Justice Anthony Kennedy as saying, "We cannot set the house on fire to roast the pig," in turn to a reference to a much cited 1957 case Butler versus Michigan. According to the free speech scholar Clay Clavet, Justice Felix Frankfurter opinion in the Butler decision established a pivotal principle in First Amendment jurisprudence that the government cannot, in the name of shielding minors from supposedly objectionable content, implement a blanket ban on that content and thereby reduce the scope of speech available to consenting adults. Coley initially sought a direction to the Bureau of Police Research and Development, BPRD, to study the link between free access to the internet pornography and child sexual abuse cases as well as rape, the Hindu noted. Coley withdrew his petition following the Supreme Court rebuke. And the thing about it is, this is a continuation. These people try to put blame on things that actually, you can't really put blame on it. You can't put the blame on the music. You can't put the blame on the video games. You can't put the blame on the anime. You can't put the blame on the porn. You can't put the blame on the violence and the action films and stuff like that. Things like this, it's, when entertainment is attacked the way it's been in the last several years, this is something that's not new. This is something that's always been attacked one way or another. You always hear stories on there, and depending on what century you're talking about, you have people that just sit there and says, well, I don't like this story. I think it promotes all the violence that's been going on there. What proof do you have? Do you know that every single person does the same thing? No, they don't. There've been much research on this and backup research where they have discussed it really doesn't concern that. They could be watching, let's say, a regular standard soap opera. Does the soap opera trigger them to go out there and do what they do? No, it doesn't really do that. We need to sit down and prosecute these people for they are criminals. They're criminals. Now, some of them are, yes, they're sick. And time is needed to investigate why they act the way they act. But this is coming from groups that are trying to push cheese pizza into the world. You have to remember, there are politicians out there, there are groups that are okay with this. We've heard it here in the U.S., we've heard it overseas. We have a story out of Spain that this is happening. That basically, someone mentioned during a conference that it should be okay, and it's not. It's not supposed to be okay. It's not good. Children need to grow up as children. Leave them alone. If people are attacking them, you need to arrest them and deal with them. See, the problem is they won't deal with the main problem. They want to blame everybody else and say, well, let's put blame on, because they don't want to deal with them, put them in jail or put them in a mental institution. Like it says in there from the justice. He says, you're going to burn the pig completely just so basically you covered all your bases. How many more things that you're going to tell them? I mean, it's like when Catcher in the Rye was out, and they said, oh yeah, that caused an assassination, attempt. I was like, yeah, why? Whiny kid that was whining through a whole book, caused that to happen? There's a lot more toward it. Because that's not the only thing in life that they read. People have problems. Yes, they do. Some of them act out on their vices, which is wrong, and they have to be taken care of as far as if they broke the law, they got to go to jail. If it's something that's psychological, they need help, then they need to be, assisted medically. Stop slapping freaking things on labels on TV series and movies, and stop blaming the music. And I mean, in this country, let's put it in this perspective. When you go to vote this November, note that most of the people, especially on the left, are the same people that were driving for censorship, labels, attacking the industry. And it's not only the left, it was the right as well. They were sitting there trying to blame the music on the violence of the day, the video games, that they wanted, this, that, and the other thing to be labeled. These are the same politicians that are in office today. You want to change things around? Take a moment and look up someone else to vote for. Don't give these people the time of day again. They haven't done anything right in the many decades they've been in office. It's about time we get rid of them and fix the real true problems in this world and especially in our own country. We have a mental problem we do, that basically needs to be solved. And there are other things we need to fix in our lives. And like I said, to blame it on pornography, you're going to blame it on the meat next. You're going to blame it on the food we eat. You know, that's the next level. Which I wouldn't doubt they started to do that yet. So let me know in the comments how you feel below. Subscribe, like, share. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.